Good afternoon, Mr. Fikri. Today we would like to present you for our IBC project, which is about culture shock. My name is Margarita.
My name is Jason.
My name is Nalina.
Alright, nice to meet you guys.
So the first question is, how many countries have you stayed in, and which one is your favorite and why?
I've stayed in Malaysia, England, Korea, and now Indonesia. I can't pick one favorite. They're all very different and meaningful in their own ways. So it's difficult for me to pick one favorite. Maybe Malaysia because I'm Malaysian. But there's a kind of cheap answer. Yes.
Which country has impacted you the most, and what are the reasons?
In terms of the biggest impact, Malaysia, in many respects, is probably very, very impactful because that's where I was born and raised. But from the age of 10 to 16, I was in London, and basically all of my secondary school education was done there. And I think that's had a big impact because it's really changed my perspective. So in many respects, I can think and speak or feel like a lot of other Malaysians my age who went to school in Malaysia. So I'm very much a Malaysian, but in terms of impact, I think we can blame England for this. So yes. There were difficulties, I think, in many respects because I did not look like a typical Brit at that time. At school, I was bullied a number of times, partly because of my race, partly because of other reasons. But this, I think, is a part of the process whereby I think even if I had gone to school in Malaysia, I might still have been bullied in secondary school. I don't know, right? So you can only speculate. But I think in that regard, that's certainly one of those challenges I had at that time. But having said that, I'm grateful for that because it kind of made me look at things in a more constructive way. So I can empathize with people who feel disempowered as a result of being bullied or being marginalized and such.
How do you tackle this?
How do I tackle being bullied? I think I had a number of good friends I relied on. They were very good for me. There was a support system. My family was also very, very supportive. My mother was also there with me at the time. I followed her, to be more precise. So a good support system, I think, is very useful just to remind me of what's important and what to keep my eye on and not to get distracted by all these other negative stuff. I think that would be one thing that can be identified.
How long did it take for you to adjust to the new culture?
Quite a number of years. I think something else I forgot to kind of bring up to answer your previous question is to get used to the pop culture at the time. When I say pop, I don't just mean like popular culture, like music and whatnot. If you're a boy going to school in England, you've got to know football. So you've got to support the team, and then after a while, when I got into that area where I had an idea about football in that context, then I was able to converse with some of my other friends who were able to kind of see where I'm coming from, and I can interact with them better, and I think that was very, very useful. So I think in that regard, getting to know football really helped, and that probably took me a number of years before I really felt really comfortable reading my own skill.
What are the main differences from your home culture compared to Finland?
In many respects, I think the language might be better. But if you want to talk about the place that was most different, I think Korea was the most different, the most challenging. England had a bigger impact because it came at a younger age. But if you want to talk about difference, Korea was a completely different place. Different mindset, language, culture, ways of thinking, ways of doing things. Even if you're older by 1 year or younger by a year, that changes the language that you are supposed to work with, to speak with people. So I think in that context, Korea was the most challenging. But going back to England, if you want to say in that context, it's very possible that we're looking at language because English people don't speak English. they speak in it with their slang is very strong. So sometimes I studied English. I know English. I got good marks for it back in primary school in Malaysia. But when I got there, they don't even speak English properly. Instead of saying water, they say water. Instead of later, it's later. So instead of asking how you're doing, it's you're alright, mate. There's that difference. So I thought we were speaking the same language, but it's not. So I think language was something that I had to get used to as well. So that was one very big difference. And the weather. Malaysia is not cold. England was and still is very, very cold. So I think that's another thing that I have to get used to as well.
Daging sama
Can you share your first impressions of any country that you have
uang aku
First impressions.
emang beda banget.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you the Indonesian impression I had, which was that it's very similar, it's nearly identical because everything is in bahasa for jalan is jalan, but at the same time it's also not the same, so it's all very different as well. One example I like to always bring up in this context is how the word ganjaran in Indonesia is actually something like a kind of punishment, a kind of penalty you get, but in Malaysia it means bonus. So if you buy something, you will get ganjaran, like extra ganjaran. But over here, it means something bad. So it's little things like this that you think is the same, but it's not the same. So the first impression I got when I got to Indonesia is how everything is very familiar, but also everything is very, very different. And that's actually very unsettling. So I don't know whether that answered your question. Sorry, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your time.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, good.
Good afternoon, Ms. Yessi. Today we would like to interview you for our IBC project, which is about culture shock. My name is Margarita. My name is Melina.
My name is Jason.
Hi, everyone.
So, how many countries have you stayed in, and which one is your favorite and why?
I think I've lived in Australia for 2.5 years. I lived in Holland for 3 years, and then I stayed in England for half a year, and then in Spain for half a year. I think my favorite, I have to say, is Holland.
Can you share your first impression of Holland?
I have a very, very good impression of Holland. I don't know, it was like almost like a love at first sight. I think I just I felt at home immediately in Holland. I just didn't find it difficult to settle in, and people were just extremely nice, and food was good. At the time it was summer, so the weather was good. So it was really nice. Like, it was easy. It was a really easy transition for me.
Did you experience like any struggles when you first arrived in the country?
No, not at all. Like I said, I think there was struggle in the other 3 countries. That's why Holland was my favorite, because it just didn't feel hard. With the other countries I did, in Australia I did, like in the beginning, in other countries as well, but just not in Holland for some reason. I have no idea why.
How did you tackle with your difficulties in, for example, Australia?
In Australia, I think it was because it was my first time, like, being away from home, and I just like felt really homesick. I think after the first month. Okay, the first month it was fun, but after that I felt a bit homesick. I think it was like a transition. I haven't found my friends yet, my clique, so it was like still confused. I didn't know where to go for certain things, like simple things. Where if you want to buy this, where do you go? It's simple things like that, but sort of like accumulated. And then the accent was really difficult, because Australian accent is just not the easiest accent to understand, and you feel like you talk to people and you don't understand what they're saying. So it just took a while. It just, after a while, you start to understand people, and then you start to make friends, I think, and then it starts to get easier. I think that was it. Having friends helped a lot.
Of all the countries that you have visited, which country has impacted you the most and the reasons behind it?
Impacted me the most. I think each country kind of impact you. Everywhere you go, you take home something for yourself. The most, I wouldn't say the most, but Holland. I think I felt like I was completely comfortable being myself, and I made lots of friends, and I was like, I had school, uni, but then I was active in several organizations, and I get to travel a lot and kind of like meet different types of people and from different countries, which is fun. So I think that's what I take home most.
What are the main differences between your home culture and the culture that you visit?
Let's just talk about Holland, yeah, because we would talk on it. I think the biggest difference is the Dutch people are very calm. That was something I didn't expect. They're just very rational. You know, if you have a conflict, you don't yell at people. You would sit down and talk about it very cool-headedly. So, and that was like a shock. And I almost never see people arguing, like none, like on the street, and people just are so calm, and they're very, very tolerant, extremely tolerant. That they accept, you know, if you're gay, if you're, you know, weird, and that's fine as long as you don't bother them. They're actually very, very open as a society. So I think that's a big difference. Where here you have so many different rules, social rules and regulations you need to stick to. Otherwise, you get, you know, people judge you. So there, it's just very, very easygoing society.
So, what's your first impression of Holland?
That's very organized. It's extremely organized and clean. And I love people cycle everywhere in Holland, and I just love that. I think that's the best part of Holland, that people you don't have to take the bus, you don't have to take the train. You can around the city just cycle everywhere, and it's just beautiful. You cycle, and you know you have canals across the city, and it's a really beautiful place. So that was the first impression that I had.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
All right.